Hi Arunima, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thanks so much.
Not at all. Thanks to you for setting it all up.
You're looking lovely.
Oh, thank you. So are you? So happy to see you in a sari.
Yeah, same here. I thought that, I'll wear this traditional Kerala sari today.
Wow, beautiful. Really nice.
Yeah. I believe it's pretty cold in London.
It is, but that it's a part of life now. Cold and wet and dark.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar here in Delhi because it's been getting dark by about 4, and by 5 you feel that the day is almost over.
Oh, is
So,
it? Okay.
yeah. So, thanks everyone for joining in today. And I'm really, really delighted to introduce my childhood friend and our guest for today evening's conversation, Arunima Kumar. Arunima, as we all know, is an award winning Kuchipudi artist. She started off her journey right here in Delhi and has made her mark all over the world. She is the founder and creative director of her own dance institute called AKDC, which is in Britain, and it's one of the largest with over 150 students across 5 countries. So that's a fantastic achievement, Arunima. And she's also a national gold medal pistol shooter. She's also had a stint with Bollywood, and she is now doing some really interesting work, with in terms of rehabilitation, working with specially abled, taking Indian dance to prisons, Chelsea hospitals. So we are very, very excited to have you here today, Arunima, and thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you so much, Divya. So well researched. Wow, wonderful.
Okay, so let's start. Let's go back to your childhood, and take us through that. You grew up here in Delhi. Some fun memories from school. How was it growing up here? And more importantly, how did you get into dance at such an early age?
I studied at CJM with you, and I think we also went to the same college. So, back a long, long time. So yes, my entire childhood was spent in Delhi. My, parents were in Delhi, and I started dancing when I was 5 years old. Apparently, I was always dancing. That's what my grandmom said to me. That even as a little baby, I would always dance to different tunes. So I would love dancing. And then my mother put me in a katha class, and then I moved to a kuchipudi class, and then my love for Indian dance just started from there, and it has continued ever since. And of course, there were, as while growing up, you always have different priorities, because your studies are important, sports are important, extracurriculars are important, but of course the most priority is given to studies. So while I you know enjoyed my studies, I always wanted to kind of continue my extracurriculars. And my mother, because she's a theater artist, she made sure that we spent adequate time in extracurriculars, and I would just thank her for that, because for her, actually, the priority was arts. So if I had a maths exam, she said, no, go to your dance class, then come back and study. It's not that you're going to miss your dance class. So, that discipline for dance, for arts, for, we used to do theater. My sister and I, she would take us to radio, take us, for theater, take us for sport. And the last priority for her was study. So she was a very unconventional mother. I remember even during my board exam, I would be like, I wouldn't get into any college if this is your attitude. All the mothers tell their children, just keep studying, and you just keep telling us, go for performances, do this, do that. So, but I think she said, anyone can become a banker, but there's only one Ravi Shankar. So, she always wanted that, arts should fulfill us. And she said art always opens up your mind, and what you can do, the confidence and the creativity, you won't be able to learn later in life, so you must learn it now. You must spend time now. All this maths and English, it's all part of life. So that's who she was, and I think that's what propelled us. But of course, the other balancing act in my family was my father, who was who always looked at my result and said, oh, why did you get 99? And I would be like, but 99 isn't it great? So we have opposing forces at home. And, so I think that's what kind of made us who we were, trying to juggle both and trying to balance both. And both were given importance. So I think that for me was very, very important. And, that value I carry till today.
So I remember some of our earliest memories from school. I always remember you as someone who excelled in all three fields, whether it's academics, dance, and your pistol shooting. And all of us used to look at you in awe and say, my gosh, how is she doing so much? Dance, being a dancer myself, I understand there are a lot of commitments in terms of practice, a lot of hours that go into perfecting it. And then there's a lot of travel as well, in terms of there's a fair bit of performances that you need to do to gain that confidence to really perform on stage. So, hats off. And now we've got the little inside tip on the good cop, bad cop that helped. So, a shout out to your parents for this one. But yeah, so fascinating.
Yeah,
So,
but there was never any pressure. We didn't have pressure at home. It was a very fun environment. I think, my parents made sure that we did well, but in a very fun way. They never expected us to be number one or, like you have to excel. No, it's just enjoy what you do. Do it with love and passion and discipline. If you're doing it, then put your heart in it. Forget the result. And I think that is more important because I see so much pressure around. But throughout
yes.
my life, even when I went to Stephens, and I still remember I really wanted to study economics. My father didn't even know what economics was. He said, why don't you do science? Like, what is this economics? And I really wanted to study it. And I really hoped that I would get, and nobody in my family was even bothered. So even when I got Ustad Bismillah Ka Puruskar, I was so excited. And I told my father, you must come. I have this performance. It's one of like the most coveted awards in arts. And he said, oh, really? Okay, I will try and make it. So for result, what not was not necessarily the most important. It was that you do it with love, do it with passion. And then, all of the others will follow.
Right. And take us through your journey after that. So you went on to study your MSc in finance from London School of Economics, and then you've had a very flourishing corporate career. And by your own admission, you share that you gave it up because for the love of art. So take us through that, and how did that whole journey pan out?
So there were many times, when I had to make choices between my art and my work, or my studies, and I always wanted to balance both because I enjoyed both. Even when I was working, I started with American Express and then moved to AT Kearney, and then I, moved to 2, 3 roles. I was with Accenture, and I loved my work. So, and the work I loved was, whether it's strategy or consulting or financial performance management, it all required very long hours. So it wasn't like a very part-time job. It was a full-time, and not just full but like 24/7 job.
Right.
So it gave me very little time for things I wanted to do. And of course, as a youngster, you want to go out with your friends, you want to have fun, you want to go to movies. But for me, after my work came dance, and then came anything else. So my friends used to always make fun of me, that, do you have dance class, or can we go, can we meet, like it's my birthday, you have dance class. So I knew that it was like, always like this. But I think it was always about balancing for me, and I wanted to do everything, so I did it. I and my teachers, my Guruji and his wife were very accommodating, because I'm sure you work and you dance, so sometimes your schedule doesn't permit, but they would make it accessible for me. They would take out time specially for me, and they would help me. Even when I had performances, I would get up early in the morning, rehearse, and then go to work, and then in the evening come back, change, go to perform. Sometimes when I had exams, I would be fully dressed up in my dance costume and studying algebra. So it was always about I wanted to balance. But there came a time when I had to make a choice, and I said, well, I can go on without working, but I can't go on without dancing. So and the choice happened when I moved to London, because here it's very difficult. You know, you don't have a support system, you don't have infrastructure, you have to do everything yourself. So each day it gets even harder. You know, because when I was spoiled when I was in Delhi, my parents, you know, they supported me. So I would come back from a meeting, throw my clothes, you know, the others were all ironed, just wear it and go and come back. And, you know, all of that was taken care of. But, you know, when you live here, you have your own family, you have to spend time on that. So that's when the choice happened. And I said, okay, I will, you know, take 1 year out. I will, you know, focus on arts. And then I never went back. And I remember people in you know, my office used to say, well, you know, we also go to the gym, but we don't leave our jobs for that. So what is wrong with you? Have you totally lost your mind that you are leaving your job for, you know, dancing? And I said, that's what I want to do. And, you know, I was very convinced, and I left it. It was a very hard journey, I must say, because no one really switches over. Uh,
Right.
it's a very big risk. There is
Yes.
financially, there's like a complete drop. My accountant was,
Mm.
you had you had six figures here. What happened? You know,
Mm.
years ago, and there's nothing. You know, you start from scratch, and each day, you know, you make it work. So it's a very different, very difficult field. But what it gives you in terms of your fulfillment, I think something else doesn't for me. So that's why I made the choice.
Were you afraid when you were thinking about this decision, and in your mind, was there any fear?
You know, for many years I had thought about it. So there was definitely a fear, especially when you are doing well. You know, if you
Right.
have a fear, or if you have a negative experience, it's okay. But
Mm.
when you're doing well, you know, and you are ambitious, and, you know, even in my work, I wanted to be the youngest manager. I was, you know, I was doing well. So it was very hard to make that switch. And my boss was very good. He said, well, you know, go for 3 months and then see
Mm.
how it is, because it looks very nice on the outside. It's not like that.
Right.
And
Right.
no, if I go, I go, because if I know I have to come back, I will come back. And I did
Mm.
like that. So he was still very kind. He kept, you know, he kept my position for a year. But then I said, no, I have to go wholeheartedly into it. And, you know, it's like a little, it's like your own baby. You have to go create it. You have to, you know, just really go all in. So I did. It was very hard. 2 years in, you know, it was very, very hard. um, because it's also very lonely. You know, when you go to
Mm.
work, you have a routine, and you go to a whole, you know, a whole social system. You know,
Right.
you get busy, and then
There's a complete ecosystem supporting you. There are people.
yeah, and you earn something, you feel good about it, you feel independent, you come back. And, you know, because I was always independent, it was very hard for me to suddenly realize, okay, I don't have this. Even to, you know, travel from this place to that place, I have to pay that much in terms of a ticket. So
Right.
especially in London, because it's so expensive, it was.
Yes.
But it's just that you have to, you know, be at it. and
Hmm.
and yes, and as I said, you have to find meaning in it. So for me, meaning is not just money in arts. It's something else which, you know, nothing else can give me.
Okay, now your journey in arts has also had its fair share of challenges, isn't it? Because
Yes.
uh, traditionally, classical dance is viewed in a, you know, by the purists in a very particular way, and they want things only so. And you've actually gone out and challenged and broken all, you know, molds that you know people traditionally put a classical dancer into. And you've taken dance from stage, you know, to prisons, to hospitals, to people's hearts, to people's homes. You're working with different kinds of people as well, especially able, the elderly, all of that. So talk us through some of that. How has that part of your journey been?
So I was, you know, very young. I had gone. I was on an ICCR tour to Australia, and you know, we had a beautiful, most memorable tour. We started with Sydney Opera House, went on to Perth, Brisbane, Canberra Festival. The last stop, Brisbane, we had my final show. I was exhausted, but, you know, I was also
Hmm.
excited. It's done. So I went in, I performed, and then I came. And then, you know, after the show, one person came to me and he said, I don't know what you did because I don't understand the language, but something inside me, touched me. And I'm
Right.
an alcoholic and I'm completely dependent on drugs. I did not,
Hmm.
I don't think I need that today. I just
Hmm.
felt very, very calm and peaceful today. So thank you for showing that to me, because I just, I just felt that I could get connected to something without something external, like a drug. And
Right.
that, really kind of touched me. And I
Hmm.
hey, can my dance do that for somebody who doesn't even understand my language?
Hmm.
And I'm wearing all of this, beautiful costume and all of these, complex mudras, and he understands what I did, and he connected to it. And
Hmm.
that's when I said, okay, maybe I should do this. And then of course in Britain you have, wonderful platforms to work in these fields.
Hmm.
So I started then working with community projects, and I
Hmm.
really enjoy that. I mean, this morning also we worked with elderly people from 69 to 100 years old. It's a joy. They come dance, they're just so joyful, and life has so much of meaning for them. And it's beautiful to, share those experiences. And I think that is why I'm so connected to art, because the way art can connect and heal and,
Hmm.
liberate.
Hmm.
I don't think making a presentation, I would have felt that, So in that
Hmm.
sense, I have really got very, very involved in all kinds of community projects, arts and health projects, because that is very relevant, especially this year. We have worked with care homes, we have worked with elderly, we have worked with children, so that they can stay active, and not just in a traditional, like complex dance learning environment, but, you know, storytelling, have fun, stay connected, keep your mental health, positive. People who suffering, who have suffered from domestic violence, their stories are different, but how do you engage and how do you give them a positive experience about life, because life around them is so difficult. So
Right.
a lot about giving and sharing, and I learn a lot from these experiences. The second question, you said, how did I make that, because we are in that certain framework when we doing that.
Yes.
It's because I never follow the herd mentality. If everybody goes right, I'll go left if I want to. I don't really care. And people will always talk. If you're a classical dancer, they say, oh yeah, she just does, classical, contemporary nahi karti. If you do contemporary, oh my gosh, she does contemporary, classical, she doesn't know.
She
So
doesn't know.
you start pleasing people, there is no,
Hmm.
I don't bother. I do what I love. I do what I enjoy. Until I feel I get something out of it and I can give something, I will do it. The rest I just shrug off.
Awesome. There's a comment coming from the audience. They're relating to what you're saying. Lata saying dance has its own way of reaching one's heart. So thank you for that lovely comment. Um, and so you've also been approached, to maybe prepare some kind of case studies as to how you actually conduct these workshops in Tihar jail, at Chelsea Hospital, all of these care homes. So Arunima, when you were conceptualizing this for the first time, how did you, sort of curate the content? Did you sort of do it by hit and trial, depending on what the audience is or the viewers are enjoying more? Or how did you sort of really think of putting this together the first time?
The
Mala's
first,
giving a comment. Arunima, so proud of you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
thank you. The first time I went to a hospital.
Because it's very unique, and a lot of people, when I put up the post saying that you'll be coming and talking to us about this, I got a lot of inquiries from the audience, like, how does she do it? You
Yes,
know?
it's not as straightforward, because first of all, when you are learning a very, um, ancient, complex dance form like Kuchipudi, you're very embedded in tradition, and
Right.
also very embedded in, all the beautiful classicism that goes with it. So
Hmm.
the first time I went, say, was, I will take, example of two experiences. The first was a hospital, and when I went in, I was nervous, because
Very nervous, yeah.
there are people with terminal illnesses,
Hmm.
their bed, they can't do anything. So, Britain has this beautiful project of offering arts to them, because they can't go visit, a theater or anywhere other than, their phones. So to give them a live experience. So
Right.
my and I went in, And I was like, you go first because I don't know what to do. So, so I was nervous, but just going in, you see these people, and they have this hope from you that you're going to bring something alive. You're going to create something for them, and that's it. And then you see what works. We started with a shloka, and then all of everybody just picked up their hands. Some of them had the drip stuck to their hands, so
Right.
gentle touch, gentle hold. But somehow that whole department or the ward, comes alive with you. And then what you have is just beautiful. At one point, a lady said, I was an opera singer. Can I sing? And I said, of course. And I put off my music and she sang, and we created, a whole story about clouds and rain. So, this is how it happens, that you just make it. Of course, you go with the framework, but you look at, how what your audience wants. And the most
Right.
important is to connect. There is no
Yes.
judgment. There's no, sorry, I'm holding the most perfect pose and Nataraja, and that's what people are watching. No, you have to connect and engage.
Right.
That is your brief. Then
Right.
when I went to Tihar jail, I was working with, I wanted to work with women there and see how I can impact them. It wasn't very common. So I took my musicians as well, because we said, let's go create something. And started working, and we started teaching, it was in the ladies ward, and we started teaching them some routine. And my mridangist, I still remember, he said, I'm saying 1 2 3 4, and you're going 1 2 3. Why can't you understand this footwork? And then he was being very kind of passionate about his rhythm. And the lady turned around and said, I have committed 3 murders, be gentle. But
Oh my gosh.
so you forget that, look,
Oh, I would have loved to see his expression.
yeah, he said, ayo, no, but do the 4 I asked you to do,
Oh, he still insisted. Okay.
So we forget, like, we don't need to, patronize people when you're in that,
Right.
you just, they're people. And they were, what we created was so beautiful that for the first time, these girls were allowed to come out and dance at Habitat Center. The district magistrate gave them permission for 1 day to come out and perform at Habitat Center. And I was
How
pregnant.
lovely.
I flew back from Chennai, and I was completely floored by what they did. I remember all the policemen were standing all around them.
Right.
They had heroed them that, oh my God, they should not run away. But
Yeah,
these
of
girls
course.
were so happy because they said, Arunima, for the first time in so many years, we've dressed up, we're putting makeup, we are outside, we don't want
Right.
anything more. This is enough. And there's so many experiences that you get, because like when I used to work with them, I said, are you, how do you feel like that you're just in closed walls? And they asked me, what about you? Just because you're outside, do you think you're not in closed walls? So there are lots of commonalities between every human. So we don't need to look down upon people if you're specially abled or you're in a hospital or you're in a prison. Treat them as human. And similarly, arts is for just humanity. So treat it as that, and you'll be fine. And that's the approach I take. So yes.
Great. So some lovely comments coming in. Anuj, our batchmate, is saying, great to be watching this show. All the best,
I
Arunima. And there's another comment coming in saying, some people feed stomachs, some you feed souls and hearts, Arunima. Very proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, tell us about how you feel, because some of these experiences, they're very intense, and they really leave their impression on a person for, even some time to come after, the workshop is concluded. So, have you, how has it been for you? And
Yeah, of course, it's very intense. Sometimes I just feel emotionally drained, like
right.
I'm just, it's like I've just given. But as I
So
said,
how do you bounce back? How do you kind of get that energy back again the next day to say, okay, I'm gonna go out and do this again?
most often you just realize that, look, you've done it for yourself. and you've done it, for something good, and you just, you just, it's quite, natural to bounce back, probably just having, a normal routine. I come back, have a, nice cup of tea, or just, create a very kind of calm and soothing environment, or do a little bit of yoga, or do a little bit of, just dance, and you just get back, because you've done something good. So I think it, while you feel that, it's taken a lot out of you, it's like that, the the satisfaction that you've got, you know it is really hard to explain, but sometimes it really triggers something in me. So a lot of my works get inspired with my experiences.
Right.
For example, my work Bandini, which was based on domestic violence, and it's based on the poems written by this woman who had suffered from domestic violence. So she was a victim, and she was in Tihar prison. And listening to her story broke, my myths about domestic violence, because I always thought, it happens, to people who are alcoholic and they are somewhere in the slums, and it happens to, like, you know like people in very difficult circumstances. But here she was, did everything, and she had this experience, one of the richest people in Delhi. So it really, shook me. And her her serenity, her how, she was not a born criminal, she was just in a difficult situation,
Right.
you know
Right.
so it could happen to anybody. So it really got, this thought in me. And so in order to, give an expression to that thought, I created my piece Bandini, and asked my audiences that, what do you think about this? So I
Right.
like to have that, I like to provoke debate sometimes in the audiences through my experiences. Another piece I did, which was on sati, which is the practice of widow burning. Again,
Yes.
on, a conversation I was having, and one, somebody from a Rajput community, and he said, yeah, yeah, women, they should just be burnt. And it just, and I created the piece, and I invited him, and I said, come watch, will you ever say this again? So again, so my works, some of them get inspired, or triggered because of these experiences. Sometimes I've seen, we work in drug rehabilitation centers with children, and it's very hard because they're not receptive in the beginning, and it's very hard to engage with them. But you have to understand where they come from, and then slowly see what works with them, and then have, create an engaging experience.
Right. So Lata's commenting, very commendable to use dance to heal the less privileged.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the earlier comment was from Payal. Yeah, thanks, Payal. We didn't see your name there, so I could not tag you. Mala saying thank you for bringing Arunima for the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the lovely compliment. So, okay, so now some onto a little lighter note. Tell us about how you got married. Tell us the whole proposal thing, and how did the whole thing come through? Was it love marriage? Was it arranged? I got someone who told me some inside story that when Arunima's marriage got confirmed and finalized, the first response she had was yes. so so please take us through that.
Okay, this is a very interesting topic. I think, I don't think I could ever have an arranged marriage, though my father tried a lot. But I met many
Like all
suitors.
good dads.
Yeah, I met many suitors, and I actually enjoyed meeting the suitors, because it was like, oh, let's go to Taj. It was like a free coffee or a free meal, in a nice restaurant. So I used to treat it like that. It was like a joke for me. I was very bad. I was never serious. And if my husband is watching, he actually accompanied me on some of these
Oh,
because he was a very good friend. So I would say, oh, you've come from London. Come, I have to meet this boy. Come along. And
oh.
how could I come? And I'm like, no, no, just come along, because I've met so many alone. You come along, or I'll take my sister, or I'll take my friends. So so it was really, like, for me, I didn't treat it seriously, because I would meet the person, and I would enjoy meeting the person, and I would come back and tell my dad, no, he had a side parting, and no, he wore an orange shirt. So I was always very, very mean, and somehow I just I was so happy in my life. I had a good career. I had my dance. I had my friends. I didn't really want to get married. And my father
Yeah.
had, I think like in the entire newspaper and everything, he had like found every, possible suitor from a Maharaja to an actor to a cricketer. I would say, I want to marry this person, or this type of person. And he would bring that person. So
Oh,
he tried his best.
how sweet.
So,
In fact, Arunima, there's a request coming. Can you show this through some dance mudras as well? Maybe a little bit of hand gestures, just for fun. But up to you. But happy to continue the story.
yeah, but I mean, we haven't reached the proposal yet, so I will definitely use mudra somewhere. But
Okay.
we met. So Manav was always a very good friend of mine when we
Hmm.
met in LSE, and then yeah, and then at some point he said, why don't let's get married? And I went through a very serious surgery at one point, and I think he came down, and then he was there for me, and I felt that okay, somebody when you're down and out who's there for you, is the person you have, you should kind of be with. So I think that's what happened. And my father was so happy. He said, whatever drugs or anesthesia, whatever, is inside you, just continue that till you get married, because with this, he said yes. But something has worked. So yeah, so then I made the decision, and then we got married, and then I moved to London. So he was in our college as well, but I didn't know him in college. I met him at
Okay.
LSE, a very good friend of mine. And I was also always trying to set him up with my friends. So it was very, it was a very fun relationship. It never really started off as something that, could work out. So it was, in a way, because he was a very good friend of mine, I think I just trusted him. So he knew all my dark secrets, which is not a very good sign. But,
Hmm.
wrong.
Lovely. And Arunima, you're a mom to a beautiful daughter. So again, how are you balancing your work with being a mom and all of these things, plus living in London, doing everything all by yourself? How's that?
Yeah, I mean, it is very
Is,
difficult.
is that rooted a lot with the discipline you grew up with?
No, it's just, as I said, it's very difficult, and especially in London, because you don't have a family, support system. You have to do everything
Hmm.
yourself. Everything is new because I have one daughter, so it's not like I have experience of two, three. So it's very hard with the first one because you are always learning, and you're learning by
Yes.
doing. So, but I think it's most beautiful experience and the most beautiful gift you can give yourself. And again, just like marriage, I never really wanted to have children in the beginning. I was like, we are very happy, this is a good life. Okay, I've got married now, one tick box, now that's enough. But I think it's only when I had my daughter that I realized that I was really missing out, and I would have denied myself the biggest pleasure of life. So it's great to have her. It's great to have a daughter who you can dress up, and who she also dances now,
Ah,
fortunately.
how sweet.
Yeah, so it's great to
Yeah.
have share that bond. And I have a very strong bond with my mother, and I have also a sister. So it's really nice to have, a daughter, and really have, see her experiences. And each day, it's something beautiful, something joyful. And you ask me, how do I switch off? So when I come
Hmm.
tired, one look at her, and that's it.
Hmm.
Everything clears out. So I think that's what it is. It's a lot of work. I will not deny that. But it's a very natural part of life. So I think, I don't think of it as work. It's just, just kind of part of everything. So even if I make a sacrifice, for the fact that I have to be with my daughter, I don't consider it a sacrifice. It is, as I said, it is what we make it out to be. Like
Right.
we have these notions that, oh my God, if you're in a job, it's good. If you're not in a job, it's very bad. That means you're wasting
Hmm.
life. Like a lot of people say, oh, you're dancing, very good time pass. No, actually, it's not a time pass. So,
Yeah.
but these are notions, and
Right.
that I don't go with people's notions. I never have. So, I'm very happy in who I am. So even with, a daughter or children, to be happy with, your choices, and that's it. Everything falls into place.
Lovely. Manav's commenting, well said.
Oh,
So, Arunima, on popular request, we're going to go quickly into the rapid fire now. So,
oh
are
my
you
God, what's
ready?
that?
Yeah. So, I'll take you through it. So, basically, I'm going to throw these questions at you, and you just have to share the first response that comes to your mind. You know, the first thought or the first thing that comes to your mind, you share that with us.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So,
after
are you ready?
the demo, because somebody asked me to do a demo about the proposal, I didn't do it, but yes, I will come back.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is your naughtiest memory from school?
Oh God, Divya, we were always, teasing each other. So I think there are so many. I remember, we used to get punished, and I don't know if Priyanka's watching, but so many times, we would sneak things in and, sit behind. And I remember with Priyanka, sometimes we would get punished because I would actually say a joke and she had a very poor control over her laughter. So she would laugh and she would get punished and then she would hate me, because I was the one who kind of triggered it. So really beautiful memories. And I think, we were always pulling each other's leg. And
Yes.
you mentioned in your post, I used to call you Paul. So,
Yes. I still have it in my yearbook also.
oh God,
And you remember the infirmary?
we know what we did in college. So
Hmm.
let's not go there.
Okay. Okay. Favorite travel destination?
Oh, I mean, I love Goa, but last year I went to Bali. I loved it.
Okay. All right. Any interesting meal or food experience from anywhere in the world?
I love to try new food, but my favorite is a Bihari dish called litti.
Ha, litti. Nice. Okay. Favorite Hollywood and Bollywood actor?
Tom Cruise,
Male.
Amir Khan.
Okay. And Hollywood?
Ranbir Kapoor a bit, but yeah.
Acha. Okay. Okay. And well, that's what I had for the rapid fire. So you've done very well. We
Oh,
finished the questions very fast. Yeah, I usually keep about 4, 5 questions. So I think you went through it super fast.
okay. That's the mudra for rapid fire, right?
Huh, okay.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Perfect. This way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You don't have a gun, right? So we have rapid fire. I don't think the guns were created by them.
I will use that next time. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, Arunima, you founded AKDC. What were some of the challenges you faced when you were setting up your school, and what's your vision now for AKDC as you move forward, particularly during this pandemic?
So, in terms of challenge, as I said, it was more to dedicate full time to
Because
create.
see, one is finding students, especially in an international setup, when you're in India, it's different, but when you're in London, getting people, I mean, firstly, for people to understand Kuchipudi as an art form and then enroll. And of course, there are a lot of, kids from the Indian community, but also you work with a lot of international artists, you know. So how did creating that whole awareness about Kuchipudi
Yeah,
and
absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. So when I came here, no, I would say I'm a Kuchipudi artist, and I would write to people.
Hmm,
I would ask to get shows, and they wouldn't know what
hmm,
Kuchipudi meant, and they would be like, "Oh, is it Bollywood?" And I said,
hmm,
then is it Bharatanatyam? I said, well, it's like Bharatanatyam, but not Bharatanatyam. So it was very hard to
yeah,
explain because it's a
hmm,
much rarer form, not very well known in London. So it took a long time. And the worst was that, I mean, in retrospect, it wasn't worse, but at that time for me, I'd received enough awards and credibility in India.
hmm, hmm,
But you come to London, you are not known, you are nobody, and people don't, bother. But I remember the first time, first week, I wrote many letters to people to introduce myself. Said all this profile, these awards don't mean anything. Please come and audition.
hmm,
Completely taken aback that, but I have all of this. Why do I have to prove myself again? They said, look, that's how it works. You have to come and audition. And no matter who you are, where you come from, and even when you are an accomplished dancer in Britain, you will audition for every role. And it was very shocking for me. But I said, okay, if that's how it is, that's how it is. So reluctantly, putting my ego aside, I went in and I auditioned, and then I got one festival. Um, and then actually my journey began, because from that opportunity meant a lot to me, because I had we were like 30, 40 people, and they had picked 3 or 4 artists, and I worked very hard, harder than what I would have in India. So I worked on my stamina. I went and watched many performances. How does the lighting work? What is, the system? What is working? What is not working? What is the space? Because in India, we just dance. We are so,
Right.
involved in our performance and in learning and, in presenting, and it is a comfortable space. It's a known space, but this was unpredictable. So
Hmm.
we went to South Bank Center, and that was the performance. And I looked at how slick everything was. There is no thank you. There is no introduction. There is not, this, no fuss, just good dancing and perfect time, and perfect specifications. So I learned a lot, and I
Right.
did my best. And from that, my journey began, because that performance led to another. Then few performances, I got my first student who came, who was an Italian girl, and she came and she said, "Can you teach me?" And I said, "I'm not ready to teach yet," but she said, "I would really request you to teach me." And and I said, "Okay, I'll come after a year. I'm not ready mentally yet." So after a few months, she came back, and again with her, my teaching career began. It was she who convinced me, and I just taught her for a few months. But it was beautiful, because the relationship I had with my Guruji, where I would go, I would talk to him, I would dance, I would have coffee, and it's not just a dance class, it's a whole, support system. So I had that with her. And then slowly she used to make pasta, she would eat my roti dal, so it became a very beautiful relationship. And then I set up AKDC. And of course, getting the first few batch was a challenge, but fortunately, somebody who had come to one of my workshops, she actually came and said, "Can you teach my, daughter, and I'll bring 3 more." And with them, my journey started, and
It
they were
started.
so good, and they, one of them still learns from me. So it is,
Oh, lovely.
well, yeah. So with 3, then another 3, then another 3. But
Yeah.
I have never wanted it to be a factory that I just bring in
Hmm.
200 and I just teach 200. It's not a scale or commercial activity for me. I take few students every year, but it does grow cumulatively. But I
Right.
know each child who learns from me. For me, every child's journey is important, because I remember how much my teachers gave me. It was not like
Hmm.
a student who has come to class, it was Arunima. So for me, every child has a special place, and I understand who they are, and then, their training takes place.
Right. Fantastic. And there's a comment coming in from Manav saying, incredible achievement, making AKDC leading Indian dance organization in the UK, Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, South Bank. Fantastic. Thank you for that lovely comment. Um, any challenges during the pandemic? When we were catching up earlier, you were saying how different this year has been compared to, anything that you've experienced, and how do you see it evolving now?
This year has been
How
very
do you see your work evolving?
Yeah, this year has been very difficult. It has been very challenging. It just threw me off. I'm usually very goal, like I make goals, early in the year, and then I make goals at the end of the year. I like to be planned, but this year nothing worked. It was all thrown out of the window. So the only thing I would say that I've learned to be more resilient. I have learned to look at what we have, and then how do we work within that. So we were fortunate, because I have a group from Poland, these wonderful dedicated dancers who learn from me from there. So we'd always worked online. So for me, moving to an online system was not difficult. It was absolutely streamlined. Like one day we did class, and then the class got cancelled, and then the next day we moved online. So even the parents were quite amazed how seamless it was.
Seamless it was.
But it was not just that. It's teaching a very intricate dance form online.
Hmm.
How do you keep that engagement? First of all, like you said in the previous question, children in Britain, they are not exposed to what we are in India. They don't hear temple bells, or they don't hear people, like carrying, veggies on the street. These things are not part of your daily life. You
Right.
have to, create this for them, task,
Mm-hmm.
because they belong to a very different system, and you are just 1 hour in their very busy schedule. So, they don't know your shlokas, they don't know anything, they do hardly even know stories. I mean, if they know how to celebrate Diwali, that's, a boon, but most of them don't even know that.
Don't know that.
So how do we make India and an Indian tradition alive? So that was a very big challenge, and to then do it online, it was even more,
Right.
you know but again, for me, I just, because we worked in site specific locations, because I have worked in all of these different situations, like hospitals, this, that. I think I just realized this is the only gateway I have to their life. So I
Hmm.
and slowly we did it, and we created new innovative ways of engaging, like, making the class fun, because they once told me, now teacher, we come to class, you just teach us, there's no fun. And I said,
Yeah.
no fun, because everybody is just a screen, so how do you create fun? So I said, after
Right.
class we do news time, everybody will give me something nice about their week, or we'll do like a story of kindness. So then, the eyes light up and they're like, yeah, today my story is that, I lost my tooth. So how do you make the
Adorable.
accessible and fun,
Right.
and make them love it? Because if they love it, they will do it well. Like, I love dance, so I do it. If somebody said dance, 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 I probably wouldn't, but if you love it, you will do it. Similarly with them, they loved it. We did actually much more than what we did normally. We did a whole digital performance, we did lots of nice things. So we kept abreast. Now, what is the way forward? Well, who knows? It's quite unpredictable at the moment. I hope we can go back to classroom, because I miss, them. What is physical and what you can create in class is very hard to create, on a screen. But nevertheless, I'm grateful that we were able to do it. I'm grateful that we could add a lot of students, even globally. We had people from America join in, people, and I would say that so many teachers there, because once it opens up, you can't come to me, so please go there. They said, no, this is an opportunity to learn, so can we do it? So it opened some doors for us, it closed some doors for us, which is fine, because that is what life is. And
Right.
but all in all, our work, I would say the depth of our work increased, fortunately, because every experience led to something else. Like, now we're doing, the storytelling project, we are now doing a change for life project, we're working with,
Hmm.
we worked with a beautiful organization called Broccoli, who support, the LGBTQ community. So there were so many wonderful things which just happened online. The entire experience and interaction happened online, and things happened. So I think for us, in that sense, it was because we were able to adapt and
Hmm.
think of the world differently.
That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, in that sense, very interesting, like a tour HQ, in fact, it's set up by Stephanian Gaurav Kumar. He reached out and he's creating online immersive experiences, because you can't travel. So, he has beautiful, you log into his, you pay a little bit and you log into his program. You can do a cookery course with somebody who's in Venice. You can actually, look at a whole palace of Versailles, because a tour guide will walk you through it. So lots of interesting and innovative things happened. So I did a Indian dance lesson. Initially asked for Bollywood, and I said, I don't know about that, I can do Kuchipudi. And he said, I don't know how people will think about it, but let's go ahead and see. And people loved it. And I said at the end, do you want to do a small Bollywood routine? They're like, no, 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 we like this. So, it's how you create it. And
How you do it.
yes, and also, lots of interesting opportunities exist out there. So
Yeah.
it's for us to go and grab them. It's for us to go and see what we can do.
Great. We're almost out of time, but I'm going to take this question from the audience. Manav Singh, ask her about her experience of teaching robots.
Sorry, teaching who?
Robots.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, I think a year ago, I was invited to teach a robot Indian dance. And I thought it was
Wow.
very strange.
Was this some kind of an AI learning, machine learning project?
Yeah, it was by an organization who works with these robots, and they want robots to be, kind of as close to humans as possible. So they want,
Right.
because I went in it, the brief was corporate workshop, uh, tech-based corporate workshop. So I went in thinking tech-based corporate work.
Tech based.
But when I went in, where are the people? And they said, well, these 8 people are observers, but you are actually teaching, this robot. I've forgotten her name, but she came. And then she's like, hi, Arunima. And it was absolutely unnerving. It wasn't, I really wanted to run away. And I said, what am I supposed to do here? And it was literally watching a science fiction movie. And they said, yes,
Right.
observe how she will respond to what you teach her, because let's see if
Mm.
she can actually want to dance, because she can do the basic work, but maybe she can't dance. And I said, but this is Kuchipudi. It's not even like dance, it's like classical. But yeah,
Yeah. To bend your knees and you have to make
yeah,
mudras and
yeah.
there are
Obviously,
all these
it has
complex.
us, but
Yeah.
it was about how she can, how can you create a learning environment for a robot. And I had that experience, and after that, we went into a virtual learning experience where we were going to design the same module, and people could wear that, whatever it's called, the VR.
The Oculus
Yes.
VR headset.
Yeah. And then they put that on me. It was so strange and unreal. And I said, okay, this is going to happen 40 years later. I don't want this to happen, because there immediately, the screen comes up and you can see everything. You can see all the data, all the dynamics, and you feed all of that in, and it actually all comes to life. You don't, and it was surreal, because, they were like, okay, projecting that later, in few years, this is what education will be, because it can be customized to every person. And that is why I was brought in, that how would education work in arts, with robots. And it was all very, very like surreal and unreal. And I didn't want to be in this world, and but it was I mean, it was amazing. And now, if you see this year, we have just spent our entire year in technology, like, with
Yes.
technology. So that world is not very far. And I think at some point we will all be exposed to it, and we will have these robots coming around, and who knows, teaching or learning dance. And obviously, like, their pickup was so powerful, because you teach them
Right.
twice. She didn't get it. The third time she said, okay, this is what it is, because I was like, pataka, this is what it is. And immediately, like a robot doing that to you, you said, oh. But it was
Arunima, that's awesome. You're part of creating the future. Fantastic. So happy to hear about this. And we're almost out of time, but some any last thoughts from you before we let you go?
No, thank you so much for having me. I would just say that, it's people would always ask me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a dancer. And people would be like, yeah, but like, what do you actually do? And, so in that sense, I would hope that today some people have realized that dance is a lot, that you can, a field of art that can give you a lot, and that it's not just a time pass. If you don't want it to be a time pass, it is something that you can love and that you can be passionate about. So, if you want to learn dance, because anytime you want to be happy, all you need to do is put on the music and dance. So just dance. It doesn't have to be a classical dance. But yes, if you have a son or a daughter or a sister or a brother or yourself, there's no age to dance, so go out there if you can, just have fun with it. And I hope, you can, and or pick up any artistic passion, and, just fall in love with it, because there is so much to offer, and especially in Indian arts. I learn about Indian arts each day, and I am so passionate about it. And it's only because we have so much to offer, and the world is learning from us. So go out there and enjoy it and have a fab journey. And thanks so much, Divya, for having me. This is real fun. I'm sure this is going to be seen by some of our, school and college friends, and, it's going to
Yes.
be great, great fun. So thank you so much. And I'm sure Anuj is dying to come on board as well.
We'll get him on for the next one. Thank you so much for those inspiring words, Arunima. I mean, few of us knew that, such a classical, traditional art form can be taken, out from the stage and into people's hearts, and also robots. So you're actually, creating the future for us, and fantastic pioneering work. And thank you so much to the audience. The hearts just kept flowing, and all the compliments are coming through. So thank you for being a wonderful audience. We'll post this after the show. And so for those of you who missed it, can catch up on it. And thanks again, Arunima, for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Divya, for having me. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.